My sister pretended to be me to get $50,000 from our dying father, but karma arrived first. Please stay with me as I tell my story. And please, do not forget to support our channel by subscribing to our channel, liking our videos, and sharing your loved ones. Your support means the world to us. Now to our story. When the nurse told me my sister had already signed the hospice papers in my name, I thought it was a joke. I hadn't even visited yet. But then I saw her, wearing my perfume, my coat, and my father's favorite necklace I'd hidden 6 years ago. I knew she wasn't just pretending to care. She was pretending to be me. I stood there frozen outside his hospital room, my hand still on the door handle. The nurse had said, "Your sister already took care of it," so casually, like this was some ordinary thing. But I hadn't spoken to my sister in nearly 2 years. And now she was here, pretending to be me? I pushed the door open slowly. The room smelled like bleach and fading flowers. And there she was, curled up beside our father's bed, brushing his hair back like she belonged there. Her hair was styled like mine. She had on the exact same winter coat I'd worn the last time we saw each other. She even used my perfume, Daisy by Marc Jacobs. I hadn't worn that in years, but it was my scent. Then I saw the necklace. It dangled from her neck like a trophy. Our dad gave it to me when I turned 16. She'd always been jealous of it. I lost it one summer, thought I'd dropped it at the beach. But I didn't. She stole it. She'd been keeping it this whole time. I didn't even say anything. I just stared. She looked up slowly, like she was expecting me. No panic. No surprise. Just a calm, smug smile. "Hey," she said softly, as if we were best friends catching up after brunch. "You're early." My fists clenched, and my stomach turned cold. She looked at our dad, who was half awake, hooked up to tubes and machines. His eyes flickered from her to me, confused. He didn't say a word. I could see the doubt swimming in his tired face. She had gotten here first. She'd convinced the staff she was me. Signed my name. Told them she was his daughter. That I was too emotional to handle things. That she'd take over. And they believed her. All for what? For the $50,000 he promised me? For sympathy? Or was it just because she couldn't stand seeing me get something she didn't? As I stood there, barely breathing, memories crashed into me. The fights. The lies. The time she ruined my college application and smiled through. The time she told everyone I stole from Mom's wallet, when it was her. Always charming. Always fake. Always one step ahead. But not this time. This time I'd fight. She was always the pretty one. The one who got compliments in grocery stores. The one who had perfect hair, perfect skin, the kind of laugh people leaned into. But I was the honest one. The one who stayed quiet, who told the truth even when it hurt, who cleaned up the mess she left behind every time. Growing up, it was always like that. Alina was the star, I was the shadow. She could lie straight to our parents' faces and get away with it. I remember once, she broke Mom's antique mirror and blamed it on me. I was 9. I got grounded for a week. She just watched from the hallway, smirking. She knew exactly how to twist things. Mom saw through her sometimes, but Dad? No. To him, she was his little girl, the sunshine in the house. I was the one with the attitude problem, even though I was the one picking up after everyone. Then came Mom's cancer diagnosis. Alina moved out a week later. Too much stress, she said. I can't take watching her like this. She didn't visit. Didn't call. Just disappeared into her boyfriend's apartment like we weren't slowly drowning without her. I dropped out of college to take care of Mom. I cleaned her sheets. Held her hair when she threw up. Argued with insurance companies on her behalf. I watched her die one breath at a time while Alina posted selfies from wine bar. After Mom passed, Dad came around. Maybe he finally saw who I was, without Alina spinning the narrative. We reconnected slowly. Coffee talks, late-night phone calls, even a weekend road trip. For the first time in years, I felt like I had a parent again. That's when he told me about the savings account. It's for you, he said. To get back on your feet. For school. For everything you gave up. He said he'd update the will. He said he was proud of me. I should have known it wouldn't be that simple. By the time he started getting sick, confused, forgetting things, Alina came back. Not as herself, though. Not as the liar we grew up with. She came back as me. Soft-spoken. Responsible. Full of regret. Telling nurses she'd made mistakes. But she was ready to make things right. She knew he wasn't strong enough to question her. She didn't need Dad to love her again. She just needed him to believe her for long enough to sign something. And somehow she pulled it off. Because even when she left us, she never really lost her role as the golden child. Even now, with a dying man's memory fading fast, she knew exactly which face to wear. 6 months ago, I called Alina. I don't even know why. Habit, maybe. Or some leftover piece of me that still wanted to believe she could change. We hadn't talked in over a year, but I was sitting on the floor of my apartment, staring at a shut-off notice and my dad's lab results at the same time. I needed to talk to someone who knew him, who got it. So I called her. She picked up on the second ring. Wow, she said, laughing. You still have my number? I ignored the jab. I told her dad had been in and out of the hospital, that the doctors were calling it early-stage dementia, and that he'd started forgetting names. She didn't say much, just the occasional, damn, or that's rough. And then I said it. I told her dad had set aside $50,000 for me. He'd promised it when Mom died. Said it was for everything I gave up, school, work, friends. I wasn't bragging. I was venting. I told her I felt guilty even taking it, but he insisted. Said it would help me finally breathe again. She went quiet for a second. Then, in the softest voice I'd ever heard from her, she said, "You deserve that, you know." I remember that moment so clearly now. The way my throat tightened with relief. I actually believed her. I thought maybe, just maybe, we could start over. But now, standing outside Dad's hospital room, watching her play dress up with my life, I see it for what it was. That phone call wasn't a moment of sisterly healing. It was recon. She took everything I said and weaponized. She knew he was losing his memory. She knew about the money. She knew exactly how much. And she used that phone call, my trust, as the opening move in whatever twisted game she was playing. I started replaying every second of that conversation. The way she asked what bank it was in, how she said, "Is it under your name or his?" I thought it was just curiosity, but she was already calculating, already plotting. I felt sick. She hadn't just stolen from Dad. She hadn't even just stolen from me. She'd stolen a piece of the last few years I'd spent trying to rebuild something real with him. She'd taken the one conversation where I thought I had my sister back and used it to gut me. I should have known better. But that's the thing about trusting someone who's hurt you before. You don't forget the knife. You just hope they're not still holding it. It wasn't just the perfume or the necklace or the coat. It was the paperwork. She didn't just play dress up. She took it all the way. The hospice office called to confirm my recent email. That's when I knew it was worse than I thought. I never sent them an email. When I asked them to forward it, I nearly dropped my phone. The address was some made-up Gmail with my name in it. The tone? Off. Like someone pretending to write like me, but trying too hard. Then came the real punch. She told them I was in rehab, that I'd had a breakdown, that I wasn't capable of handling my dad's care. She said she was stepping in, as the responsible sibling. They believed her. She'd always been good at lying. But this was a new level. She created a whole version of me that didn't exist, a damaged, unstable version, just so she could take control. She forged my name on documents I never saw, signed consent form, posed as me on phone calls. Somehow, she even got to the lawyer. Dad had a basic power of attorney form from years ago, just in case. Alina told them I declined to use it. She submitted updated forms with my fake signature. She said I was too embarrassed to come in person, claimed I was ashamed of my life falling apart. And honestly, that's the part that got to me most. She made it believable, because I had been struggling, because I wasn't perfect, because I didn't post shiny updates or fake smiles like she did. Dad didn't remember enough to stop her. He trusted that anyone was handling things, and she used that fog in his brain like a mask to slip through every lock. But I wasn't going to just let her win. I started collecting everything. Screenshots, emails, call logs. I requested copies of every document with my name on it. I took photos of the forms in Dad's file when the nurse wasn't looking. I even recorded our next conversation. I asked her point blank why she lied. She laughed, said, "You were never going to fight me on it. You never do." She wasn't even hiding it anymore. She thought I'd roll over like always. But this time, I wasn't scared. I was angry. And I was done letting her rewrite the story. If she wanted to play this game using my name, she was going to learn what it felt like when the real me showed up. When I walked into his hospital room that day, I wasn't expecting a parade. But I also wasn't expecting what happened next. He was awake, propped up against some pillows, thinner than I remembered. His hands trembled as he reached for the cup of water on his tray. When he saw me, his whole face changed, but not in the way I hoped. Not recognition, not warmth, something else. "Alina," he said, smiling weakly. "You came back." My stomach dropped. I stood there frozen. He looked so happy, so sure. But he was talking to me and calling me her. "No, Dad," I said gently, stepping closer. "It's me. But he cut me off. "You don't have to pretend anymore. I know you've been helping. The nurses told me. You took care of the paperwork. You said you'd handle everything." He thought I was her. The girl who ran off when Mom got sick. The one who hadn't spoken to him in years. The one who forged my name and stole my place. I sat down in the chair beside him, heart pounding. I wanted to correct him, to shout. But what would that do? His eyes were already glassy, his voice fading. I looked at the man who used to lift me onto his shoulders and call me kiddo like it meant something, and I felt like I was losing him twice. I held his hand. He said something else, low and slurred. Something about how proud he was. "You turned things around," he murmured. "I always knew you could." He was talking about her again. About Alina. The version of her she wanted him to believe. She hadn't just tricked the lawyers or the nurses. She'd tricked him, used his memory loss like wet clay, molding herself into the daughter she never really was. And now, in his last days, she was the only version of me he could see. I bit the inside of my cheek to keep from crying. After a few minutes, he drifted to sleep. I stood up and looked around the room. The flowers on the side table. The framed photo of the two of us from years ago, replaced with one of her. She had rewritten everything, but I wasn't going to let that be the end. As I walked out of the room, I didn't feel defeated anymore. I felt focused. She wanted to steal my name? My story? My bond with our father? Fine. Let her believe she won. Because I was done playing fair. I stopped trying to prove myself to my sister. I stopped trying to correct the nurses. I stopped hoping my dad would suddenly snap out of it and remember. That wasn't going to happen. Instead, I got smart. I started visiting every day. Same time, same seat, same quiet voice. I read him stories, played his favorite songs from when we used to drive up the coast. I brought old photos and waited, patient and calm, for flickers of recognition. And sometimes I got them. He'd call me kiddo again just once. Or say, "You always bring the good music." Small things, but they were ours. While I was rebuilding what she tried to erase, I was setting my trap. I began recording every call I had with her. The little jabs, the arrogant slip-ups. "You could never handle this level of planning," she once said. I smiled and thanked her, while my phone recorded the whole thing. Then I bought a nanny cam, tucked it into a fake plant on the table next to Dad's hospital bed. I didn't tell anyone, not even the nurse I trusted. I needed real proof, not just my word against her. A week later, I got it. A clip of her telling him, "You don't have to worry. I've already transferred the funds. She doesn't even know it's gone." He nodded slowly, dazed, and she kissed his forehead like some doting daughter out of a Hallmark movie. I wanted to throw the plant across the room. Instead, I copied the file 3 times and emailed it to myself. Then something else happened, almost by accident. I was cleaning out an old drawer in my apartment and found a tiny flash drive. No label. I plugged it in and there it was. A voicemail Dad left me years ago. His voice was raspy but clear. "I know I've made mistakes, kiddo, but I want you to have this money. It's yours. For everything you gave up for this family. I trust you." He said my name. My name. That's when I contacted an elder law attorney. I brought the fake documents, the forged emails, the recordings, the voicemail. I laid it all out calmly like a case file. No drama, no tears, just facts. The lawyer didn't even blink. "You've got enough to bury her." I didn't smile. Not yet. This wasn't revenge. It was restoration. She stole my name, my role, my place, but not the truth. She couldn't erase what actually happened. And soon, she was going to find that out the hard way. The email came at 2:17 p.m. on a Wednesday. Just one line from the bank. "Suspicious transaction attempt blocked. Please contact fraud department immediately." I knew it before I even opened the account details. Alina had finally made her move. She'd waited just long enough. Dad had slipped further into confusion. The nurses trusted her now. The hospice staff treated her like she was some kind of guardian angel. She thought everything was in place. And to be honest, it almost was. She tried to transfer the $50,000 to an account under her name, disguised under a fake LLC. Probably thought it looked professional. Probably thought she was being clever. But she didn't know what I'd done behind the scenes. 2 weeks earlier, I sat down with a fraud investigator at the bank. I showed them the forged emails, the fake power of attorney, the voicemail from Dad, and the recordings. I told them I wasn't trying to block my sister out of spite. I was protecting my father. They flagged the account. Any unusual activity would freeze it instantly. And that's exactly what happened. I called the bank and got transferred to a fraud specialist. She sounded calm, professional, but I could tell she was curious. "Can you confirm," she asked, "if you attempted to transfer $50,000 today?" "No," I said, "but I know who did." The investigator asked me to come in person to file a formal report. I did, folder in hand, everything labeled and color-coded. I wasn't playing around anymore. Within 48 hours, Alina got the call. She called me 5 minutes later, furious. "What the hell did you do?" she snapped. "What you thought I never would," I said quietly. "I protected what's mine." She launched into a full rant, threats, guilt trips, fake tears. Said I was ruining everything. Said Dad would never forgive me. Said she was only trying to help. I didn't answer. I just hung up. Then came the call from the state's Adult Protective Services. They had been notified by the bank's legal team. An official investigation was opening. One into financial abuse, identity fraud, and elder manipulation. They asked to interview both of us. I told them I'd be happy to talk. That's when it really hit me. She had dug her own hole. Every lie, every forged signature, every smug little move. She built her plan so carefully. But the one thing she never saw coming was me. I wasn't the quiet little sister anymore. I was the storm she invited. And Karma had finally shown up wearing my face. The letter was delivered by hand. She opened it right there on her front porch, still wearing one of her fake designer robes and sipping cold coffee like she didn't have a care in the world. I wasn't there, but my cousin Jamie was. He called me 5 minutes later, still stunned. She screamed like someone set her house on fire. The envelope was thick, legal-sized, stamped, official. Inside, a summons, fraud investigation paperwork, and a restraining order. Effective immediately, she couldn't go near Dad, his care team, or access a cent of his finance. She had 72 hours to respond. I got the invite a few days later. Not from her, obviously, but from my aunt. A family dinner to talk about what's going on. It was exactly what I wanted. I showed up calm, collected, with every document in my bag just in case. She was already there, pacing in the kitchen, eyes red, breathing shallow. As soon as I walked in, she turned to me like I was the reason her world was burning. "You think this makes you a hero?" she hissed. "No," I said. "Just honest." The rest of the family looked confused, uncomfortable. These were the same people who always called me dramatic, who rolled their eyes when I said Alina was lying. For years, they'd taken her side because it was easier. She was prettier, louder, better at playing nice. But this time, she couldn't hold the mask. "You've always hated me," she said, voice rising. "Just admit it. You've been jealous of me since we were kids." I actually laughed. "Jealous of you? You mean the woman who abandoned her dying mother? Who stole money from a man who can't even remember what day it is?" Her face twisted, and suddenly it all poured out. No filter, no act. "I deserved that money," she snapped. "I was supposed to be the one who made it, who lived big. You were always the boring one. The backup plan. You didn't earn it. You just sat around playing nurse and collecting sympathy." Dead silence. I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. Because everyone in that room saw it now. Not just the lie, but the person behind it. The bitterness. The entitlement. The venom she'd always hidden behind a perfect smile. My aunt looked away. Jamie shook his head. Someone muttered, "Jesus Christ." And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the problem. I felt seen. Alina stormed out before dessert. No apology. No denial. Just the sound of a woman finally watching her lies collapse, and realizing there was no one left to clap for the performance. He was having a good day. At least, that's what the nurse said when I walked in. "He's clearer today. Might be a good time," she whispered, touching my arm gently. I didn't get my hopes up. There had been too many false starts, too many moments where he looked right through me like I was wallpaper. But when I stepped into the room, he turned his head. His eyes met mine, and this time they stayed. "Kiddo," he said, his voice weak but certain. "It's really you." My throat tightened instantly. I sat down slowly, afraid that any sudden move would break whatever spell he was under. "I thought I lost you," he said. "She told me that you weren't okay, that you left." "No, Dad," I said, reaching for his hand. "I was here. I've always been here." His eyes welled with tears. I didn't know who to believe. "I'm so sorry. You don't have to apologize." But he did anyway. "I should have protected you better from everything. I saw the truth too late." Then he did something I wasn't expecting. He motioned to the drawer by his bedside. "In there," he whispered. "It's for you. Only you." Inside was a sealed envelope and a photo. The picture was old, me on his shoulders, both of us laughing, a summer afternoon I barely remembered. On the back he'd written, "My girl, my reason." I held the envelope like it was made of glass. "Open it when I'm gone," he said, his hand gripping mine tighter. "There are things I never told you. About your sister. About the money. About why I chose you." I nodded, unable to speak. He smiled once more, eyes half closed. "You were always the honest one." That night he passed. No final words. No dramatic last breath. Just a quiet fading, like a light slowly dimming until it disappears. I sat in the parking lot for an hour before I opened the envelope. Inside was a letter, handwritten and shaky but clear. He told me he'd started putting money aside when Mom got sick. That he knew Alina would never come back unless there was something in it. That he saw her manipulations, even when he pretended not to. But me? He said I showed up even when there was nothing left. That I gave without asking. That I stayed when it was hardest. He left me more than money. He left me the truth. The full, raw, painful truth. And that meant more than any inheritance ever could. The court documents arrived 2 weeks later. Alina was officially being investigated for identity fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. Her name was listed in bold, the charges stacked like a list of all the lies she thought no one would ever catch. She didn't call me, didn't send a text, but I heard from others, mutual friends, old cousins, even an old teacher of ours, who said she was in hiding. She'd shut down her social media, lost her job, and moved back in with some guy she barely knew. Her perfect world had crumbled. The inheritance, all of it, was confirmed to me through my attorney. No drama, no ceremony, just a signed letter and a wire transfer. It felt quiet, not victorious, Just done. I didn't tell anyone when it came through. I didn't post about it. I didn't throw it in her face. She had already lost everything that mattered, her carefully built image, her place in the family, her ability to walk into a room and make people believe she was someone she wasn't. Turns out, people remember the truth once it finally hits them in the face. Our aunt stopped talking to her. Jamie blocked her number. Even the family members who once bent over backward to defend her stopped answering her calls. No one likes to realize they were cheering for the villain. For a while, I expected her to show up, to bang on my door, to scream at me in the street. But she didn't. Because when the performance ended, so did her power. She didn't know how to fight without the mask. As for me, I didn't feel like celebrating. I still grieved. For my dad. For the sister I wanted her to be. For the years lost in between. But I didn't need revenge. Karma had already done the heavy lifting. I used the money to pay off my debt. Quietly, I donated some. I fixed up the apartment Mom used to live in and rented it to a family with a baby on the way. Something about that felt right. Sometimes I still think about the necklace. The one she wore like a prize. I never asked for it back. I didn't need to. Let her keep it. Let it remind her of what she tried to steal. She lost the money. She lost the family. She lost the mask. And me? I didn't win. I just walked away with my name still mine.